Hey guys, today I'm gonna do a short presentation on monks. So a few days ago I was talking with my friend about them and he basically just tried to convince me that, maybe we've been too harsh on them, maybe they're secretly good at too. And I kinda wanted to explore that. So first of all, let's get the obvious bad part out of the way. Um, they don't get that many key points, especially at low level. And that's kind of a problem because they depend on them a lot. So first of all, you got subclass abilities. You also need them for damage with flare of blows, and you also need them for survivability with abilities such as patient defense or step of the wind. So you kind of have a choice where you need to either um, choose your subclass abilities or choose to do more damage or choose to survive. And you're kind of like a dilemma always, either choosing one of these three. And if you choose one of these three, then you're left with no other key points for the others. And then there's also the problem that your survivability is kind of dog water. You only get a D8 for your hit dice, and let me just change this. Actually, do have armor. Armor's not that bad. So yeah, you only get a D8 for your hit dice, which isn't a lot considering that you're frontline, you're a melee, so you kind of need a lot of HP, right? And then couple that with the fact that you're already investing in dexterity for your damage, for initiative, for your AC, and then in wisdom for your key save DC and for the AC too. So constitution is kind of like your third stat. So usually you'd be prioritizing dex and then wiz and then con or in some kind of combination. So yeah, anyways, usually con is gonna be your third stat. So that makes it that the con modifier won't be that high. So couple that with the fact that you have a D8 hit point, your HP won't be that high. And I get that the point of a class is supposed to be like a glass cannon, but one, you're not doing enough damage at some levels to compete with other melees, so you're not really a cannon. And two, you don't really have the HP to be a glass. You're more like a paper cannon. So yeah, you need a lot of optimizing in order to compete with other classes, and you also need to invest in a lot of stats just to be viable. So that kind of that makes it so that your other stats become your kind of like a dump stat, or just stats that aren't really that high. So yeah, the worst part, I think, is the expectations going in against the reality of the class. So most people playing this class, they choose to get into it because they've seen those martial arts movies with like the Asian actors like Jackie Chan or Jet Li, where they do like crazy ass moves with like random weapons, like not even weapons, just random objects like couches or chairs or like a table. They just grab the table, throw at them. It would have been really cool if the monk had this sort of ability with improvised weapons. They could just have proficiency with them, whatever. I don't know, maybe they could use them as monk weapons. Technically, like raw, they can't do it, except if your DM is a good DM, or just if you except if your DM lets you do that, you can't really do it, which I think is a shame personally. I mean, that's kind of like the whole point of a monk, I think. Anyways, there's also the crowd that plays monks because they watch those anime or like cartoons with like Naruto, Dragon Ball, Avatar the Airbender, those. They've watched it and they kind of want to play a character like that, and the monk is basically that. They could choose four elements or Sun Soul and they could just do this thing. And what ends up happening is that they find out that these subclasses suck balls, so they just don't have fun. Except if the DM helps them out, but that might not be always. There's also like the big issue of the crowd saying, "Oh, monk is OP because of stunning strike," which like yeah, sure, it's strong, but it doesn't make the class OP, and it's in itself it's not really that strong either. Like sure, at a low level, you get at level 5, so most campaigns happen at that level until like level 10 or 15. And in the start, it's really good because, well, the stun effect is fucking crazy strong, and you can use it multiple times per turn, so that's more chances of the targets failing. But there's a big caveat. Well, there's multiple caveats. Um, the other part is that it's a Constitution saving throw, so everyone's gonna be super comfortable succeeding on the save because usually it's the one of the best stats that monsters have. And just the fact that your key save DC might not be that good because you're too busy focusing on three different stats. If you decide to, kind of quote unquote dump Wiz, make it so that it's your third stat, if you choose to have more damage, more HP, and instead less, wisdom, then your key save WOTC won't be that good, and you won't be landing stuns that often. And if you decide to stack it in order to, have more chance to land it, then you're just burning your key points away, which are super valuable because you use them for damage, you use them for survivability, and you use them for subclasses. So you can't really be throwing them away just to have a chance of debuffing the enemy, right? And even if you manage to land the effect, you might be at a point in the game where monsters have legendary resistances. And, sure, you burned one. That's, might be really valuable for the team, but you just burned away half your key points. So good luck, Bozo. You're kind of cooked afterwards, right? So all in all, it's a big gamble. And you need to be really careful with it because you might be at a point where the monsters have advantage plus 10 legendary resistance, and your measly DC 17 Constitution saving score is gonna get cooked. Anyways, I had a cool monk merch idea, and if anyone can make this, please do. It's this. I need this shirt. Anyways, that's small tangent out of the way. There's some good aspects of the class too. I'm not just gonna bash on the class because I actually really love the class, and I wanted to talk about the good stuff. First of all, low level, it's kind of solid. You can make 2 to 3 attacks when most are making one, so you can kind of compete with other melee classes in terms of damage. You also have little reliance on magic items and just items in general. You don't need weapons, you don't need armor, you don't need shield, right? You can just rock the naked build if you wanted to, but I don't advise you to do that. And that can be good in some situations. For example, your party just got in prison and all their items got taken away, so you could just I don't know, just sneak out. You have a good deck, so you can sneak out. You have good wisdom, so you can be good at perceiving other objects. And then you have got a good dex again, so you could sleight of hand just steal the objects away. And even if you're in a situation when you need to fight, well, you don't need weapons because you're good without weapons, right? You also have the fact that your fists are magical, so you don't need even magic items. There's also the fact that at really high levels it's kind of nutty. You get abilities like what was it? The one that gave you proficiency in honor saving those, and then there's another one you were basically like invisible and you resist all damage. And sure, it costs a lot of key points, like 4, but at that moment, at that level 18, it's not really that bad because you're not using 18 key points in one fight. Oh, I don't think so. Anyways, there's also get cool abilities like evasion, and it's helpful for your survivability. And I think the coolest shit is that you can be Jesus Hernandez Christ and just walk on water, which is awesome. Anyways, last part. While I was like looking at monk, I don't know why I always had this like conception that monk subclasses are dog shit. And then I looked at them and you know what, they're not that bad. You have really good subclasses like mercy, and you have good subclasses like open hand, astro self, long death. Then you've got some okay ones like Kensei, shadow. What was the other one? Dragon Master is also okay. And then the only bad ones I'd say are Four Elements, Sun Soul, they're garbanzo. And then, well, Ascended Dragon is the biggest disappointment I've ever seen, so I don't even want to talk about that. Anyways, about the one D&D changes. So usually, I don't know why, but Wizard of the Coast usually gave the monk the short end of the stick. I don't know why. They hated them for some reason. Just, I didn't get it. Every single ability that they got was like a nerf version of what another class had. But the changes are really good, I believe. So, first of all, they changed 4 elements, finally. They changed them to be good. And they didn't even lose the flavor with it, which is no whatever. Open hand, they kind of tweaked it a bit. Now it's better, but it wasn't like dog shit before, so I don't think it needed a change, but it's a good thing. And then Shadow Monk, I'm gonna say it's okay, but I'm kind of disappointed that they removed Pass Without Chase and Silence. I think they should have kept them. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, otherwise they improve the key economy. Now the abilities you get at second level, Step of the Wind and Patient Defense, don't require key points. And well, you can expend a key point if you really need to. So basically, like the first portion doesn't need to, and then if you need like an upgraded version because you're in a dire situation, then you can expend a key point. But essentially, you don't really have that dilemma anymore of, oh, do I do damage or do I survive? Because your key points are gonna get affected that much, except if you're in a dire situation, which I believe is super good. There's also the fact that your damage is way better now. You start with D6s and you end with D12s. So you can actually compete with other classes consistently. Also about the key points. In second level, you get an ability where once per long rest, when you roll initiative, you get basically the effects of a short rest. I'm so happy that the monk needed this, because the biggest problem with monk is that it couldn't do multiple battles in one day. It could do one battle, be out of key points, and then it's cooked. Well, that's special at low level. But with this, they can actually do multiple battles, which is good, especially in dungeon situations, right? Also, what else? Yeah, at 15 level, they kind of lose the fucking you can't age ability. I think it's a shame because I really like that one. But they replace it with a sort of like a ability that resembles the previous capstone, which is good because that's where it belongs. And the actual capstone now is way better. It's the barbarian one where you get +4 on Dex and Wiz, and the max increases by 224. And yeah, that's good because that means that your AC, your key save DC, your damage, your initiative, they all increase too. So overall, everything is improved. So Wizard of the Coast, I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game. You cooked with this one. Anyways, in conclusion, the monk right now, it's kind of bad, but the DM can help you mitigate some problem because one D&D made it better. So what I would recommend if you play monk is that you just ask your DM, yo, can I play the one D&D version, because it's just so much better. Anyways, thank you very much. Please like and sub.